This is Karis Alexander with Deep Truth Media. As the planet Earth is a natural paradise, it's a natural heaven. Therefore, it requires extraordinary and deliberately constant effort by the power control force to create and sustain hell on Earth. By wicked deliberate design by the power control force that is creating all the narratives and the scripts that are playing out on the physical world stage, puts us in a state of, or is putting us in a state of what I would call purgatory. And with that, it removes any possible salvation for humanity by creating hell for the good, whilst maintaining hell as well as promoting hell on earth. This is in accordance with divine law, natural law, and all valid positive law. There is no such place or thing as purgatory, nor has there ever been such a place, and any claims to the contrary are deliberately false and misleading. So this is what's playing out in the physical world stage. I want to cover some things here with you that I'm noticing. Do you notice that the information is like coming into your awareness? The awareness that you is you much faster, fast and fast. And so here we are in 2014, and I believe we're in the year 2006, and that's according to the Ethiopian calendar. And the reason why I'm suspicious about the calendar that's being used by the power control force and the calendar that they have us believing that we are on, which is the Gregorian calendar, as I said before, it's quite brilliant that they would naturally be on a different timeline in order to manipulate our future. And by having us in a future timeline, thinking that we're in this future timeline as a present moment, it's just absolutely brilliant. So, and the reason why the tip that tipped me off with regards to the Ethiopian calendar, they are using the Ethiopian calendar, was the date of the new year for the Ethiopian calendar, which is September 11th. And as many of you know, September 11th is the day that the Twin Towers came down in New York City. That was a turning point. That was a turning point. A turning point in which a cycle ended and a new cycle began. That is the war on terror, this culture of war that we live and exist within now. And so what we saw with Nelson Mandela's death on December 5th, supposed death on December the 5th, was another ending of another cycle. Mandela, meaning cycles, or Mandelas are cycles of time, or could be considered as a metaphor. It's a cycle of time. And so we saw the ending of one cycle, another cycle of time, and we're moving into another cycle. And this cycle that we're moving into, I believe, is the Armageddon phase. The last days of judgment. Bible prophecy. So things are going to be exponentially speeding up. Another thing I want to mention to you is that this year, 2014, according to the Gregorian calendar and the Chinese calendar, is the year of the horse, which I find quite interesting. So when I say the information is coming in vast and fast, I've been looking at how I've been connecting the dots over the past couple of years and sharing that information with you here. And what I have been finding is some patterns that keep coming up over and over again. And the pattern that's quite significant, that is the ultimate pattern, I believe, is this whole theme of the hero's journey. And as I mentioned, and I'll be mentioning much more intensely or intently, and my attention will be much more on how to support you to position yourself to thrive despite what's going on around you. What is your battle plan? I'm going to give you some hints as to what you might be able to do. It's just another perspective. I'm just sharing a perspective here in order to allow you to thrive and have a different experience than the one that is being spoon-fed to you. So this year of the horse is another metaphor for the Trojan War. And that is a theme. If we look back to mythology, that is a theme that is playing out continuously. That is, I believe, the overriding theme of the power control force. And all these other narratives are just major distractions. So the Trojan horse, and I'm going to go into that mythology and the hero's journey. I'm going to go into that. So, and we're going to explore some of that mythology, because that's really, really important here. But the Trojan horse, it changed the course of events at September 11th, 2001. The Trojan horse, the surprise. It's really a remarkable significator of the Trojan horse being a surprise. It was unexpected. And so that was the fall of the Twin Towers, which traumatized humanity on a global scale. We're also going to look at the trauma syndrome and what happens when one awakens to this information, you know, and the different phases that one goes through when one awakens to learning about the situation in which we find ourselves in, how we're being traumatized as this narrative unfolds. And so the next Trojan horse that's coming, we don't know, we have to kind of wait, but it is coming. And they're going to be very fast, very quick. 2014, we're going to see things that will blow our minds, if not already. You know, one of the interesting things is this, I'm watching, is this war or this genocide that's ensuing in Central Africa. And the thing that came out that struck me was cannibalism. And I don't know if that's actually true of what's been happening there, but it says that people are under such distress there that they're eating each other. It's like, I mean, that's pretty shocking to know that that is actually happening. And if that is, or it's just a storyline that's being fed to us, right? Because we cannot look to the news for truth. We can only look to the news and the media to see the narrative that's at play, that's playing out here. Because it is simply different scripts, different narratives playing out to keep you confused, to keep you in doubt, to keep you wondering really what's going on. But the only thing that really, it's really to keep you from doing the inner work, to doing the hero's journey. And so the next cue that's coming up is this whole era, the rise of anarchy. Look at what anarchism is. You know, you may want to look at that word and look into what that word means. I found it very interesting, this young girl, you know, I just follow guidance. Her name is Josie, and she's she's calling herself the outlaw. She's a 30-year-old young girl living in the eastern, I think Philadelphia, around there somewhere. And she was on Red Ice Radio, and I listened to her. But what I did first, I listened to her, and then I listened to her, one of her videos, very well polished. You see that this young lady is being groomed. She's an anarchist. She calls herself an anarchist, but she's being groomed. And here is an example of the divine feminine taking on this role of anarchist. So what I'm seeing is how she's being prepared to keep the resistance, to rebel against the system. And not unlike Russell Brand, who's revolutionizing consciousness, this young lady is being groomed to resist the establishment, to resist the government. And I talked about this before on a number of occasions, and I've done a blog post on it, on how there is going to be civil war, civil unrest in the United States. It's not going to be in the whole of the United States. I believe it's going to be, one area is definitely going to be on the eastern seaboard, with such areas such as, New York, Boston, Philadelphia, all along the eastern seaboard there. There's this axis that's quite symbolic of, that's a number of cities that's quite symbolic of the Milky Way galaxy. And I believe that there's going to be that's where one major area where we're going to see civil unrest and destruction in the United States. It's not going to be in every single area of the United States. Can't, because there's not enough of the police force to be able to manage. So it's going to be in certain manage the amount of people in the United States of what happened in every aspect of the United States. So it's only going to be in certain areas. So I just thought that this was quite interesting. I wanted to bring that to your attention. And so the agenda moving forward is anarchy. And people have a lot of negative connotations around anarchy, but really it's really peaceful, is what they're saying. It's a peaceful resistance against government suppression or government rule. But we saw this peaceful resistance when we witnessed what happened with Occupy Wall Street and the resistance, some of the resistance that's been taking place in some of the colleges. It's just, these are all man-made, manufactured movements. And so this young girl, let's watch her, Josie. She's going to do really well. Her videos are getting a lot of attention. And so I can see that there are going to be more women coming forward. It's probably going to be the feminine that's going to take this to the next level, or the power control force will try to use the feminine, because they do understand the feminine, positive and negative aspects of the feminine energy. And they are about controlling that energy. So it seems quite understandable that they would somehow try to provoke the feminine, the woman, to take this to a whole nother level. This is my perspective. If you remember that I've talked about the Constitution, remember the physical world that we live in this current age, in this day, was built for the purposes of being destroyed. So we were born into a system which was going to be destroyed, and has been planned to be destroyed long before we were even here. And we're living through that phase right now. So the system was built for the purpose of being destroyed. I know that's hard to believe, but that is the truth. And so the Constitution of the U.S. is designed as a tool in terms of the controlled opposition. It's like so that people would have a sense of what their rights were in the Constitution, and then to take those rights away. Right? It was a tool designed to create resistance. I hope you understand it. I've talked about this over the past couple of years too, but I haven't really been talking about it that much. The reason why I brought up this whole area of the NDAA, the non-disclosure, or the NDAA, which is the this agreement, that provision that Obama put into place last year, I believe. Provision that allows the military to detain United States citizens indefinitely without charge or trial for mere suspicion of ties to terrorism. So we're going to start seeing people being detained. That's going to jar a lot of people. And it's probably going to be happening in this Eastern Seaboard area, or wherever they have these detention centers. I haven't really looked into that very closely yet. And the reason why they're going to do this is because as more and more people start waking up to the truth of the system and what it is, they don't want those people out saying a whole lot, right? So those are the people that are going to be detained. It makes sense. I mean, people wake up to the truth of this system. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like when you come to the knowing of the truth of who you are as awareness, and you understand that this system is really designed to keep the awareness that is you under this massive hypnosis and program. It's kind of then you're not going to want to be a part of the system. They need you to be a part of the system. They need you to be under massive hypnosis. They need to keep humanity under this program, because that is the only way that it can sustain itself and remain in existence. You start waking up and coming to know the truth of who you are as awareness. You'll detach from the system, right? And you'll start creating your own world. You'll start creating your own utopia, as opposed to the one that's being spoon-fed to you. And so the only way that they can maintain control of our lives is by keeping us in this low vibration of fear. And many of you are waking up to that. Many of you are waking up to this program. And one of the things that I'm just learning too is that there is no such thing as free will. We do not have there's a perception of free will in this system. And there's a perception of free will in this system because we only experience a small aspect of the totality of who we are through this narrow perception of the personality, of which the ego is the culprit. The ego aspect of you. You see, this is a dream. We're immersed in a dream. We're immersed in someone else's dream. Now, the ancients knew this. The ancient gods, or those of higher order in the past, were able to traverse through the states of dreaming and awareness, and the totality of they are as awareness. And that is what's going to happen for some on this planet. That's my experience, is that I'm able to experience the dream in physical form, but also know the truth of who I am. So I traverse this plane, and I also understand the totality of who and what I am as awareness. And I use the ego aspect when I traverse in this dimension, but I don't allow the ego aspect, the personality that is me, to control how I respond and react in this realm. And that is an art. And astrology allows us to maneuver. It's a tool that we can use to maneuver in this dream. Astrology is a wonderful tool that will allow us to understand the battle plan, the creation myth that is living myth that is unfolding before our eyes. We're living through someone else's storyline. We're living through someone else's mythology. This is the mythology that has been created by the universal architects. Remember, the thought process, and the mind are not yours. The awareness that is used simply captured in this mind or this brain-body construct using the mind, the thought, and the thought process. And so you must reclaim the mind, the thought, and the thought process. And you do that by coming to know the truth of who you are as awareness. How do you come to know the truth of who you are as awareness? You do that inner journey. You become the hero of your own totality, of your own life. It is truly a hero's journey. It's not for the faint of heart. But if one wants to position themselves to thrive and succeed in this world, in terms of what's coming for so many, you have to do the inner work. That is the only thing to be doing. It's an inside job. And so it truly is a glorious time to be here. It truly is a glorious time to be alive. And for those of us who are able to come to know self as awareness, can experience the glory and the totality of that, to be able to rest, simply rest in a state of paradise, our constant state of paradise, and just watch and observe and not allow ourselves to get pulled into the drama and trauma that is ensuing on this earth plane. Because what is so very, very clear to me is that most of humanity is on a path of destruction. Unbeknownst to many, they are destructing. The human species is self-destructing. Why? Because it's not done its shadow work. It is not done, addressed its emotions. The shadow is being denied. Our ability to experience the shadow, those repressed parts of ourselves that hold us back from coming to know the truth of who we are, is being denied. It is the feminine, the darker aspects that are being denied, that keep us chained and bound to this system, as feeling as though we're prisoners in some respect, and not even knowing it, believing that we have free will. We don't. Free will does not exist in this realm. It's a program. It's a software program. And we simply can only have to look to the astrology to know that we are under programming. That we are influenced by the planets and the solar system. That we are on an evolutionary trajectory, which at this particular point in time would allow us to transcend all of this. That's the opportunity for you to be able to transcend all of this, the whole system, to transcend it and come to know self as awareness. But that is being denied. It's a finite system, and yet it's a very powerful system. It's a very powerful software program that is operating, that we are immersed in. We are immersed in a simulation. It's a software program. We do not have free will. Destiny and fate are very much a part of your life. Everything that you've done up until this point is because you're under a program. Some of you are under a program, those of you who are listening here are certainly under the program of evolving out of all of this. Otherwise you would not be listening to me. For those of you listening here, are very determined to evolve out of this insanity. It's crazy when one comes to know the truth of the situation in which we find ourselves in. We're trapped here. And now is the time that we have the opportunity to break free in ways that, in so many ways, are not even known to ourselves. The power that you wield is absolutely incredible. when you come to know self as awareness, the power that you wield could be, in some respects, frightening. So it's something you have to learn to cultivate and to honor that you have such grace and power. That you would actually have power that supersedes all of this whole existence, this earth, this universe, that you're more powerful than all of this. The power control first fears every moment of every day that you will come to know the truth of who you are. Transcend all of this and no longer be interested. And just rest in your paradise state and just creating at will. That's the opportunity. It's going to be quite magical. So I'm going to leave you with that. And I thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sorry for those of you who have been listening to my podcast and not been able to hear. I've been getting your notes and I haven't been able to respond because I don't know how to use Google Plus, and I just have to learn how to be able to respond to some of the comments. But I hope this audio is much better, and I'm going to be doing some more different, unique things as we move forward here. Might as well use the technology. I thank you for all your comments. If you want to join me on Facebook, my name is Kerrace, Kerrace Alexander. It truly is a glorious time to be alive. I thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm going to be doing a live event soon, and maybe some of you will be interested in joining me in that event as well. So I wish you all the best. And if you can't hear this, just let me know, and I'll see what I can do. But it should be a better recording. Thank you.